At a small community garden on the corner of Ridgeview Drive and Fairmont Avenue in City Heights, there are a few plots filled with the straggling vegetables of the end of summer. There are tomatoes, pole beans, and squash, but the lot is noticeably bare. Out of the 19 garden beds, only 6 have anything growing in them. That's because gardeners at the Ridgeview Community Garden don't have access to water on their land.
Well, I want something that's growing. Can you get over it? I'll just put someone here. What the heck?
Instead of using a hose, they've been hauling water from their homes in gallon jugs and old laundry detergent containers. For almost 2 years, they've tried to work with the city to get affordable access to water. Garden organizer Jeanette Neeley says it's a heavy burden for many of the senior gardeners.
If you can see some of the beds behind me, those are beds of 60 and 70-year-old people, and they paid for the beds and they filled them, but without water, they just don't have the wherewithal to do that amount of heavy lifting. We do lift and carry some water here in barrels, but it's a chore. It's a chore anytime you have to carry water. Water is 8 pounds per gallon if you've ever backpacked the Sierras. So I can tell you that it's a challenge.
San Diego amended its ordinance on urban agriculture last year, lifting restrictions on backyard bees, chickens, and goats. It also made it easier to establish community gardens. At least that was the goal. Community garden advocates say there are still roadblocks. Chief among them is the high cost of water. The Ridgeview lot once had a water meter hookup that served former residents, but it was cut off and covered up when the lot was made smaller to widen a road. Neeley says the city quoted the gardeners $11,000 to reestablish the meter, and it nixed their plan to tap into a meter for city landscaping because there's no system for billing residents.
We keep getting shuffled from department to department. No one wants to take ownership and create a process where we're allowed to give them money. I know it sounds odd, but they don't have a billing system set in place that they could turn it on. It's not even on. If we could have that turned on, if we could pay the bill, we would be ecstatic. That's our goal.
In New York City, most community gardens get water from hookups to fire hydrants. Baltimore has issued a $100 fee for installing water meters in community gardens, and San Francisco has a grant program that cuts the cost significantly. In San Diego, community gardens are treated no differently than any other customer. An employee in the city's public utilities department confirmed installing a meter can run in the thousands of dollars. It's a bill most community groups can't foot. Judy Jacoby is the director and CEO of the San Diego Community Garden Network. She says that in comparison to other cities, San Diego still has a lot of work to do to support community gardens. She says a first step would be putting a single city department in charge of all community garden queries.
There is no one, actually, who feels it's their job to do, to help people out. There is no liaison for community gardens. You can go to your council member and ask for help. They can be helpful, but it's just a matter of whether they choose to or not.
Jacoby says Seattle community gardens are overseen by a staff of 6 in the city's Department of Neighborhoods. Many other cities manage community gardens through their park and recreation departments. Jacoby says that the process in San Diego is so complicated that even she doesn't understand all of the nuances of establishing gardens on city-owned land. A spokesman for the city could not find someone to speak with KPBS at press time.
Knowing what department to go to and who to talk to with your list of questions really would make it a lot easier. The code in and of itself is not everything. The water department, how you get access to water, is there is no clear pathway to that. I don't know the clear pathway to it either.
Jacoby says her organization has been working with multiple community groups who want to start gardens. For some, several years have passed without any real headway. She says while San Diego has come a long way, the city could be doing more to support the self-sufficiency of its residents.
It all comes back to the question, if the city of San Diego values community gardens and thinks that that urban agriculture has a place in the city and that people who live in apartments should have a place where they can grow food or anything, then they should they can. It's up to them to find a way to support it. Because
After working with representatives from multiple city departments over the past 2 years, the Ridgeview gardeners think they may have caught a break. They've been meeting with a customer advocate from Public Utilities who suggests a possible solution to the high water meter cost is working on getting certain fees waived for the group. While the gardeners say they want the city to make it more affordable for gardens to pay for water, Neeley says they don't want a handout.
The next step to me would be to streamline the process in getting access to just landscape water. Help us to help ourselves, not give us anything free. We don't want necessarily free. What we want is allow us to get access to water, grow our own vegetables, share with our neighbors.
Megan Burks, KPBS News.